I call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Council, Borough of River Edge, regular meeting, 6:30 p.m. on October 13th, 2020. I invite everyone to stand for a moment of silent reflection and then flag salute.
I don't know if they can hear you or not. Wait till it's over.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the
United States of America,
and to the
and to the republic
for which it
which
stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
No, no,
and justice.
supposed to mean
for
a
all.
person. It means a person. Who's
Okay, I think someone is talking in the background. They might have their mic unmuted. Just so you know, you might want to mute your mic. Statement of compliance with Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act by notification on December 20th of this location, date, and time to the Ridgewood News and the Record, and by posting of the same on the Municipal Bulletin Board and the Borough website, and filing notice of the same with the Borough Clerk. All right, again, because we're in a remote session, I'm going to read the roll. Council President Dario Canigo.
Here.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Here.
Councilman Gaudier is, I believe, absent, but I'm going to call his name anywhere. Councilman Joseph Gaudier. Councilwoman Michelle Kaufman.
Here.
Councilwoman Lisa Montesano Cohen.
Here.
Councilwoman Indira Cancella.
Here.
May the record also show there our interim borough administrator, Kevin Gallen, is present, as well as, I believe, Joe, you're covering, Joe Garcia is covering for our borough attorney?
Yes, Mayor, I'm filling in for Tom tonight.
Excellent, thank you very, very much. And our clerk, Stephanie Evans, is also present. Very good. So we begin with the minutes. So I would be looking perhaps from Council President and a second from Councilwoman Bastide to approve the minutes of the Mayor and Council regular meeting of September 21st.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Does this require a roll call vote? I don't think it does, but does it? It
The
does?
minutes, Mayor? Yes.
All right, good. All right, then. Council President Canigo.
Yes, yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier is absent with prior notice. Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
yes,
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Okay, so that has been approved unanimously. We now move on to proclamations and awards. I'm going to start with the National Breast Cancer Awareness Award, and then we'll move to fire prevention. Is there anyone here for to receive the Fire Prevention Week proclamation? Appears not. I'm going to hold the fire prevention until about 7 o'clock, just in case notice of the change of the meeting time has
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, it appears that in the attendees list, we have at least Greg Caridi and Neil Carroll. I don't recognize the other number.
Right.
The two of them are here.
Should I move one or both of them over to panelists?
Would you
Yeah.
please?
Yes, please.
And while we're doing that, I'm going to do the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is dear to my heart, my wife's heart. Her mother, when she was 21, died of breast cancer. And so this is an important proclamation. This movement to aid in the research and development of a breast cancer cure is an important one for so many families, as well as all women of the world. Proclamation. Whereas in the United States, breast cancer is the third most common cause of cancer deaths after lung cancer and colon cancer. Whereas during the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we renew our commitment to fight this disease, raise awareness, and support those afflicted by breast cancer. Whereas death rates from breast cancer have been declining, and this change is believed to be the result of early detection and improved treatment. Whereas mammogram, an X-ray of the breast, is recognized as a single most effective method of detecting breast changes that may be cancer long before physical symptoms can be seen or felt. Whereas October 18th, 2020 is National Mammogram Day, a day set aside to promote the importance of regular screenings in the early detection and prompt treatment of breast cancer. Whereas we recognize the innovation, life-saving work of medical professionals through their efforts to prevent, detect, and treat, make a difference in the lives of our citizens. Whereas it is important to continue the fight against breast cancer and to reduce the risk of this disease amongst our citizens. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Thomas Papaleo, Mayor of the Borough of River Edge, and on behalf of the council, do proclaim October 2020 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as I assign my signature. Councilwoman Bastide, would you like to, or would any of our female council women wish to make a statement or address this important proclamation?
I would just thank you, Mayor, and past mayors for always recognizing October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Those of you that joined us last year knew that we had 3 young women in the audience. I say young because they're my contemporaries in the audience who were breast cancer survivors, and they were invited to attend tonight. Unfortunately, they were not able to. I would ask that perhaps we consider asking the library to post this proclamation in their public area so that the entire borough can recognize the month along with us. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other councilwoman would like to address this issue? Okay. I think this is a great idea of posting it. The library is open right now, council. The municipal building is currently closed. So is there any objection to reaching out to the library and seeing if they would be kind enough to post this for us? Is there any objection?
No objection, Mr. Mayor, and if I may, Ellen, I'm happy to coordinate with the library and the board to post this ASAP. I can make them know tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman. That would be great.
My pleasure.
Okay, hearing no objection, it is so moved. Now I believe we have Deputy Fire Chief Caridi and Fire Safety Officer Neil Carroll. Neil, I believe your title is Fire Safety, but it may not. Neil, what is your title? I want to make sure I get it right. Are they panelists?
They are. You asked him to unmute. I'm not.
Mr. Carroll, could you unmute?
And Greg as well.
Neil, what is your title? I want to be able to address you properly in the official meeting.
Fire coordinator.
Fire coordinator. Neil and Greg, we apologize for doing this a little bit late. Today is the 13th, and Fire Prevention Week is October 4th through 10th. We hope you recognize that there was no ill intent here, and we appreciate you reminding us to do this proclamation. Let me begin. Proclamation. Whereas cooking, heating, and electrical fires represent 3 of the nation's leading causes of home fire and are collectively responsible for nearly half of all home fires and almost 1/3 of all associated fire deaths. Whereas the vast majority of home, cooking, heating, and electrical fires can be prevented by taking simple safety precautions. Whereas developing a home fire escape plan and practicing it at least twice a year are critical in escaping a fire safety. Whereas proper installation, testing, and maintenance of smoke alarms are part of a thorough home fire escape plan. Whereas by preventing the leading causes of home fires and by developing a practice of a thorough home fire escape plan, people can greatly reduce their risk of fire, reduce their risk to fire rather. Whereas the Fire Prevention Week 2020 theme, Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen, encourages the public to develop a home fire escape plan and make sure they have working smoke alarms. Whereas the fire service of the Borough of River Edge is dedicated to the safety of life and property from the devastating effects of fire. Whereas the members of the fire service are joined by other concerned citizens of this Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, and as well as other emergency service providers and safety advocates, businesses, schools, service clubs, and organizations in their fire safety efforts. And whereas I, Thomas Papalea, Mayor of the Borough of River Edge, do hereby proclaim the week of October 4th through 10th, 2020 as Fire Prevention Week. This week commemorates the Great Chicago Fire of 1817, which killed more than 250 people, left 100,000 homeless, and destroyed more than 17,400 buildings. Whereas I call upon the people of the Borough of River Edge to participate in fire prevention activities at home, work, and school, and to take the steps needed to make their homes and families safe from the leading cause of home fires, which include cooking, heating, electrical fires, and plan and practice their home fire escape. I now assign my signature. Mr. Carroll and Chief Caridi, if you would like to speak, we would be glad to hear from you at this point.
Thank you, Mayor. Just appreciate the mayor and council for taking this opportunity to acknowledge Fire Prevention Week, especially with kitchen fires. We actually had one last night on Valley Road. We had a kitchen fire there, and if it wasn't for the quick actions of the homeowner using a dry chemical extinguisher, it could have been much worse. And I would just like to remind everybody watching or listening that smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are extremely important. Working smoke and carbon monoxide detectors are extremely important. Make sure you check your batteries and make sure they're operating, that you have one on every level of the house. As you all know, it's been a very busy week for the fire department. So again, I just appreciate the council for taking the time out to acknowledge Fire Prevention Week. And again, working smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors go a long way to saving lives. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Carroll,
Yes, sir.
do you wish to make comments? You're welcome to.
Just like to add the addresses on various homes in town and businesses. There's quite a few new homes going up, and if we don't know the address, it takes a little while to search, not only for the police and the fire, but the ambulance corps. So I just spoke to Councilwoman Bastide this afternoon, and we're going to start a little campaign to get the addresses posted on the houses in town.
Outstanding. I think that's a worthy effort that you will be making. Thank you both for coming. Without objection, we will move to public comments on any item of the agenda. Could I have Councilwoman Kaufman and Councilwoman Montesano Cohen move and second to open to the public for items on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Does this require a roll call? Yes, okay. Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
All right, we are now open to the public on any item on the agenda. Surrender of meeting to Councilwoman Kaufman, our moderator.
So if anyone has a question they would like to ask, just hit *9 on your phone and it will alert us to your desire. I don't think there's any comment.
All right, could I have Councilwoman Kinsella and Council President Kanigo move in second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
So roll call vote, Council President Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
All right, we now move to appointments and personnel changes. I'm going to move this as a group. I'm going to read all three, and then I'm going to ask Councilwoman Bastide to move and Councilwoman Kaufman to second when I finish reading this. So there are three items. A, approve the separation of Allison Kaufman, part-time summer help in the Department of Public Works, effective September 29, 2020. Approve the salary increase of Jason DiCarlo, laborer in the Department of Public Works, from an annual laborer 2, step 6 salary of $46,852 to a laborer 2, step 7, $48,082, effective November 5th, 2020. Approve the salary increase of Brenton Preisendorf, police officer, from patrolman officer 14th grade salary of $92,262.03 to patrol officer 13 grade, $94,198, effective November 3rd. Could I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of item number 8. Item number 9 is simply a notice of sorts that we have monthly reports that are available through the clerk's office for a member of the public who'd like to see a fire prevention, July through September reports, tax collector reports, September 2020, library report from October 2020, and land use board report, September and August of 2020. We now move towards second reading and hearing on ordinances. I call Mr. Baring to speak to the review the land use board did and the recommendations that they have made for items A, B, C, and D, which is ordinance 2015, 2016, 2018, and 2019.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as Mayor Papaleo just mentioned, the planning board held its master plan consistency review at its last meeting last Wednesday, which I believe was October 7th. And they had an opportunity to review both redevelopment plans, those being the New Bridge Landing Station redevelopment plan and the Kinderkamak Road redevelopment plan that had been introduced by council in September. The board generally found both plans in accordance with the statute to be in accordance with the statutory criteria of the terminology is phrased as not being inconsistent with the borough's master plan, and therefore made that determination with respect to the master plan. They were generally okay with the terms and conditions of the New Bridge Landing Station plan, but they did make a recommendation with regard to the required setbacks for the Kinderkamak Road redevelopment plan. And the recommendations that they made pertain to the setbacks on Ackerson Street, which is currently requires a front yard setback of 5 feet, and along Kinderkamak Road also requires a front yard setback of 5 feet. I think in discussing this point, it may help to put up the concept of that project. So just bear with me real quick and I'll get that up. Let's see. Okay, can everyone see the map?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So again, we're talking about the frontage here along Ackerson Street, and the proposed setback is 5 feet. So it's from the property line to the building, 5 feet. And again, on Kinderkamak Road, to the building 5 feet. The recommendation from the planning board was to increase that to 10 feet. I think there are, merits to both situations, and ultimately it's up to the mayor and council as to whether or not this change should be made. If you want further input on that, I'd be glad to do that. Or if you want to deliberate on the issue as it stands. I think the planning board's justification was that in providing for greater setbacks, one, it would be creating a less urbanized look, so to speak, having a little more green space along the frontages and deterring other redevelopment sites from having shallow setbacks. So that was their position. And again, I would welcome any comment, or I guess maybe the question should be, how should we handle this at this point? And I don't know if that's.
So, Mr. Bering, I asked Mr. Merman, who is the vice chair of the Land Use Board, to be present. And without objection, I would allow Mr. Merman, who made the original recommendation. Also present is our borough engineer, Mr. Costa. I spoke to him about 5 foot versus 10 foot, and he had some comments that he would like to offer. So without objection, I would like if Mr. Merman could unmute himself and just speak to this issue.
Dick Merman here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. As Tom gave you a summary, my concerns on the setbacks basically were creating a canyon effect and urbanization along with it. The other comment I had, observation, was that we have the parcel across the street, which we know as Feathers, that at some point in the near future probably will undergo a similar redevelopment plan. And I was thinking of not setting a precedent of 5 feet or further creating this canyon effect. Those were my thoughts. I believe this site has sufficient area to absorb the additional setback. And when I say that, I'm looking at the parcel. I'm looking at the parcel, and you'll see that there's a green, basically a green piece that is contiguous with Route 4, and that piece of land is approximately 15 to 18 feet up in the air. I've looked at that in the field, and there's no reason why that could not physically be adopted into any development by a developer who wants to maximize this parcel. So I don't believe there's any restriction in the development. I've come to know that developers are pretty inventive, and they can use most of their investment of land, and I believe that this is a shining example of such. That was basically the way I looked at it, and I believe Tom stated that the board went along with the idea of increasing the 2 setbacks, and that's basically it, Mr. Mayor.
So Mr. Merman, just for the edification of the council and the public who are watching, would you state your position on the Land Use Board, your history in the Land Use Board, and any other qualifications you might have to make this sort of recommendation?
All right. I'm a professional engineer and licensed in the state of New Jersey, plus several other, and I'm also a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey. So I have those years of experience. When Mayor Rigby was here, he instituted a River Edge 2000 study and made me the chair. of it at the time, and we were looking at the downtown area in general, especially Atkinson Street area, and obviously the rail station across the street. I've appeared before many boards in Bergen County and other states. I've served River Edge on the planning board, both as a member and a chairman. I also later on served the planning board at the time as the board engineer and planner. So I'm fairly familiar with, and I've lived in town for over 35 years and watched this town develop and grow and change. So I have a distinct interest in the future land use of this town.
Thank you, Mr. Merman. Mr. Merman, as I also said before, is our vice chair of the Land Use Board. Mr. Costa, if you could unmute, I had this conversation with you earlier today, a brief conversation with you. What is your opinion about a 5-foot setback versus a 10-foot setback? And for the public, Mr. Costa is the current borough engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Again, Mayor, we did have a conversation earlier. My recommendation, and I agree with Mr. Merman, move it from the 5 feet to the 10 feet, give a little more open space. As I stated to you earlier, my office is at the south end of Hackensack. Every day I drive on River Street, the new Akemian building across from a Toyota. It's literally right on the right-of-way line. And you have utility poles. In this case, I'm not sure if the utility poles are going to change. If you push it back a little bit more, I don't think 5 feet is going to make or break it. As far as that empty parcel, that's been a subject of contention for many years. When the state came in and did the new alignment with the bridge, it was an old Sunoco gas station. I don't know if you recall that on the right-hand side. I believe it was owned by Paul Schmidt under a LLC. I'm not sure if the state took it, didn't take it, kept it, gave it back. I think there was a contamination issue, but I think any redevelopment in this site should absolutely look at that parcel and incorporate it into this development. No question about it. I don't think that should be just sitting there on Route 4 vacant from now, for this to go on. If this project is large enough, I think it could encompass that. You could probably make things work a little bit better. And I agree with Mr. Merman, absolutely should be incorporated into this.
Thank you. Mr. Baring is our current borough planner. Mr. Baring, if the council was to consider the 10-foot setback, it would mean that we would, if I'm not mistaken, would have to not vote on or vote down Ordinance 2016. We could pass 2015, 18, and 19. Am I correct in that?
Well, let's start with this current plan. I think the action would be, first, whether or not to make that change. As I understand the notice requirements for both redevelopment plans, I think they've both been, because I think the window was missed. The notice was postponed until October 26th. So I don't think either redevelopment plan can be adopted this evening per se. And part of it, with the understanding that this one, meaning the Kindercomack Road redevelopment plan, will likely be tweaked, or seems like there's some momentum to make some changes. And so I'm familiar with ordinances numbers 20-15 and 16. Could you, I don't have the agenda in front of me. Could you just repeat what
20-18 is an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 362, Article 3, entitled Street Excavations of the Revised General Ordinance of the Borough of River Edge. I don't think that impacts, and I think we can pass that. Yeah. And 2019 is ordinance amending and supplementing the codes of the Borough of River Edge, Chapters 206. So I don't think there'd be any impact. We could clearly pass 218, 219. Are you saying that we actually can't pass 215, 216 no matter what at this point?
Correct, due to the notice. So
so no matter what,
go
back to a first reading.
Well, the way and based on input from the land use board and attorney, and also who happens to be the borough's redevelopment attorney, I think the way of looking at this is that it would be an amendment, which would not necessarily require reintroduction, is my understanding. So I would have to touch base with him again, but there may be an opportunity to adopt both or have a second reading on both on October 26th. But I will confirm that schedule.
So, pardon me, Joe, what's your last name again? Is it Garcia?
Garcia, yes, no problem, Mayor.
Mr. Garcia, so based on what Mr. Bering has said, would we simply fail to move 2015 or would we table 2015 and 2016?
Table 2015 and 2016. And then you just move 18 and 19 tonight.
Okay. So I need to go back to the council. Based on the testimony of, based on the conversation we had with Mr. Barron, because he wasn't sworn in, so it's not testimony, based on Mr. Costa's recommendation, and based on, excuse me, on what Mr. Bering has said. So Mr. Merman, Mr. Bering, and Mr. Costa, is there an interest to amend 2016 since there is time? Since we can't move 2015 or 16 at all, I open it to the council. I have the screen is now limited to me. So if a member of council would like to speak, they'll have to call out.
Mayor,
Yes, Council President Kanigo.
I just want to know from Mr. Behrens, is there any detriment to us doing this? You're the one who originally put the plan together. We've heard from Mr. Costa and Mr. Merman about why we would want to add the 5 feet. Is there any reason, and I'm talking specifically, I guess, about the litigation, but also any other reason why we shouldn't be considering this and maybe we should move it as is?
Well, I understand the issues and increasing the setbacks 5 feet. I think originally, the approach we took was the redevelopment plan that was adopted in 2008 or so had setbacks of 0 feet. So we scaled it back a little bit from there, and trying to fit the building, the parking, et cetera. We came up with this concept plan, and it is very much conceptual in nature. And from that, we built out the bulk requirements of the redevelopment plan. So I, personally, having been involved in, and the firm being involved in a number of, similar mixed-use transit-oriented developments, 5 feet didn't seem unreasonable. 10 feet also, makes sense in this situation. So I'm not opposed to either way. It sounds like there's, some good arguments or good rationale to increase the setbacks. With respect to the time element, the borough does have its compliance hearing on October 21st, 2020. I did speak with the special master. He indicated that we could proceed with that hearing on a conditional basis and, wrap up the redevelopment plans in a timely manner thereafter. So that, again, that's the feedback I got from the special master. So, if we make the change, we'll make it as quick as we possibly can and then get it back to the council for implementation.
Do we need to maybe call for a special session of the council to do this beforehand? The only thing I definitely agree with Mr. Costa and Mr. Merman with the 10 feet being better. That's a no-brainer for me. But if it has a negative impact on the settlement in the litigation, that's where I step back and say to myself, well, that we can't risk. So that's my only sticking point. And, I agree. Obviously, 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet would be better because it makes it more suburban rather than urban. But we have other considerations here. So that's what I'm worried about. And that's where we need the guidance.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, Mr. Garcia, but I'm going to throw this question at you. So today is October 13th. The compliance hearing is October 21st. So that's less than 10 days from now. In terms of amending an ordinance, and in this case, a redevelopment plan, I think we're beyond the 10 day, as I understand it, the 10-day threshold or period in which we can make what would be considered a substantial amendment to this ordinance and redevelopment plan. That's my understanding. I may be wrong.
Yeah, you're probably correct. I'm hesitant to give you a firm answer, not because I don't want to commit one way or the other, but just because I haven't been involved and don't know what was done to date.
I understand.
But I think, listen, we're not in a position to do anything tonight anyway, so let's talk. We'll reconvene. I can get on the phone with you and Tom after the meeting or tomorrow, and we can come up with the firm plan on how to get this done in the most timely fashion.
Okay, so I think, Mr. Garcia, certainly Brian Chakowski's firm has been involved and as the borough's redevelopment attorney and Tom Sarlo too. And, we can discuss it tomorrow and figure out the most, expeditious way to get it done. If we can squeak it in by the 21st, if that's a possibility, we'll certainly get back to the council. It may not be, but we'll try to figure that out tomorrow.
Yeah, let me just talk to Brian and just figure out where we've been to date, and then we can have a more detailed and firm plan. I apologize. I didn't know that this was
No
was
problem.
not particular.
So Council President, could we conditionally, could we ask the council to conditionally approve the 10-foot setback based on an affirmative from our council and our professionals that this would in no way jeopardize the borough, and retain a 5-foot setback if there was any element that might endanger the borough in this matter? Would you be open to that?
I absolutely would. I mean, the one big concern I have is this settlement blowing up in our faces down the line. So, and that's the same concern that I stated at the land use board meeting the other night. So yeah, I mean, if we can go that route, it makes sense. I just don't know if we can. I think Mr. Garcia and Mr. Behrens have to guide us in this.
I agree with you there. And that's why I asked for the land use board to move this to the council as a proper governance. And I agree with you, Council President. Is there any objection from any member of council? And so let's just take a straw poll. Would the council be amenable to a 10-foot setback if it's something that can be achieved without jeopardizing the settlement? Could I start with Councilwoman Bastide? Would you be open? Good. I'd like to speak to Councilwoman Kaufman. Would you be open to that?
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes, I would.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
And the council president has already stated his affirmation. So Mr. Garcia and Mr. Baring, do we need to take a more formal vote, or is the direction clear?
From my perspective, the direction's pretty clear. So I think I understand. I appreciate all the comments and from Mr. Merman and Mr. Costa, for their perspectives, and we'll get it done one way or the other. So thank you.
Excellent.
Right.
And
Yeah,
Mr. Garcia, are you comfortable with the process that we've just gone through?
the direction's clear, but you're still not going forward with a hearing or voting on 15 and 16. So you're going to need to have a motion on a second on both of those to postpone those until the next meeting, which I believe the notice had those on for the 26th anyway. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but there should be a motion in a second to postpone both of those to the next meeting, and then a roll call vote.
So if there's no objection from the council, I'll ask for is there an objection to us moving forward to table 15 and 16?
We don't have any other choice, right?
No, I just didn't know if there was objection for questions or objection for comment.
Okay.
Is there objection for questions or comment? Hearing none, Council President Canigo, will you make actually no, up at this point, it's Councilwoman Montesano Cohen. Would you move, and would Councilwoman Kinsella second tabling ordinance 20-15?
So moved.
Second.
Council President Canigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Okay, that tables, hold on, Mr. Garcia, we did not table with a date. And if I remember from Robert's rules, we have to table with a date. Is that correct?
Right. We said we were postponing until the next, I thought we said we were postponing to the next meeting.
October
So
26th.
it would be inferred to the next meeting, and that would suffice. So the vote stands, correct?
As long as that was everybody's understanding on the vote, that was my understanding that you were postponing until the next meeting, which I believe is the 26th.
Right.
Is any member of
Yes.
council have a different understanding from what Mr. Garcia articulated?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, good. So now could I have Council President Kanigo and Councilwoman Bastide move in second, tabling ordinance 20-16 to the next council meeting?
So moved.
Okay.
Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Okay, so we have tabled ordinances 20-15 and 20-16, and that's why we did not open to the public, because they were not being voted upon. However, we will now move to ordinance 20-18. Could I have Councilwoman Kaufman move and Councilwoman Montesano second to open to the public for ordinance 20-18, an ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 362, Article 3, entitled Street Excavations of the Revised General Ordinance of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey.
So moved.
Second.
Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Mayor,
Yes.
Hold on. And Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What did you just call the vote on approving it or just moving it forward?
I have moved 2018 to be open to the public as
Perfect.
required.
Make sure that we have in the public hearing. I apologize.
No, that's all right. All right, we're now open to the public. Before we do that, may I say to Mr. Merman, Mr. Merman, we appreciate you coming. You're welcome to stay if you want, but we probably will not be calling on you again, but feel free to stay. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will sign off.
All right, Mr. Merman, thank you for coming. Councilwoman Kaufman, is there any member of the public who would like to speak?
So if anyone has a question, just raise your hand or type me a note in the chat box or dial *9 for the caller in and we will recognize you. There don't appear to be any questions.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Could I ask Councilwoman Kinsella to move and Council President Kanigo second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Okay, we are now at approving or adopting ordinance 20-18. Could I have Councilwoman Bastide move and Councilwoman Kaufman second?
So moved.
Second.
Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
So ordinance 20-18 has been unanimously approved. We have one abstention. Councilman Gaudier is currently absent. He may be joining us later in the meeting. Could I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Could I have Councilwoman Montesano Cohen move and Councilwoman Kinsella second to open to the public for ordinance 20-19, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the Borough of River Edge, 1998, Chapter 206, fees.
So moved, but it's 2019, Mayor, just for clarification.
I thought the 20, so it's not Chapter 206, it's Chapter 2019?
Oh, it's ordinance 2019.
Yes, I said that. Or did I say something else? If I did, please, it is ordinance 20-19, yes.
Second.
All right.
So,
Has it been moved and seconded?
yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
We are now open to the public. I'll surrender the meeting to Councilwoman Kaufman.
So if anyone has a question, just write it in the chat box or raise your hand and I'll call on you, or *9 for the dialer in. I don't see any questions.
Okay, could I have Councilman Kanigo and Council President Kanigo and Councilwoman Bastide move in second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide, rather.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Could I have Councilwoman Kaufman move and Councilwoman Montesano Cohen second to adopt ordinance 20-19?
So moved.
Second.
Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella. No, Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-19 has been adopted unanimously with one abstention due to an absence with prior notice. Mr. Galland, I believe there is a correction that needs to be made before we do the resolutions. Is that correct? I think you spoke to me this afternoon about that.
That is correct, Mayor. The resolution appointing our new firefighter, our volunteer firefighter, that's resolution 20-230. The effective date on the resolution is this evening. That needs to be corrected. It has to be retroactive back to the 7th, which is the date that he started the academy.
Okay. Is it possible, Mr. Garcia, for us to move the entire slate 20-226, 20-238 with an amendment to 20-230, or do we have to do 20-230 separately?
No, as long as you state the amendment now, it's on the record, you can move it all via consent.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion from Councilwoman Kinsella, a second from Council President Kanigo, to move as a group resolutions 20-226 through 20-238 with an amendment to 20-230, the effective date being October 7th.
I just had I had a question about 20-227.
Okay, let's stop for that then. Go ahead.
Wondering why that wasn't put out to competitive bid.
Mr. Gallen.
Resolution 227?
237? Oh, 227, my bad.
27.
This is one of the exceptions to the local public contracts law to handle recycling by a Class A recycler. Actually, quite frankly, I got myself educated on this one also. Normally, recycling is a biddable commodity. If in fact you're going to employ the services of a contractor to pick up the recycling. I was educated that River Edge does its own recycling pickup. That pickup materials are delivered directly to a Class A recycler. And that is one exception to the local public contracts law, does not require a bid. This is actually a renewal contract.
Okay.
3 years ago, we went through this process. You went through this process. It was designed to award a contract for a 5-year period. The initial contract period was for 3 years with 2 one-year renewals. That the renewals could be exercised or opt out by either party. It turns out that, as we know, recycling is no longer a profitable commodity. For the first 3 years of this contract, everything went well until the recycling, the recoverable cost or recoverable payment for recyclables changed. So the particular contractor opted out of that contract, which was perfectly acceptable. And this is a new 5-year contract. And unfortunately, instead of money coming to the borough for the sale of this commodity, it's now going to be costing the borough not a whole lot of money, probably in somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,100 a month, but it has shifted. So this is a new contract with the same vendor.
So just wondering why we're not putting it out to bid then.
Well, I guess this was a decision made by the, I'll say the previous business administrator. I came in on it. But this is the way the River Edge has been doing it for the past several years.
Maybe we should put it out to bid then.
Yeah, just wondering.
Do we have time? Do we have time to remove this and do some more research? I'd also like to hear from our DPW superintendent as well, if he has anything he'd like to add.
So let's deal with the first question. Mr. Gallen, do we, in your opinion, and you may not have an opinion right now because you may not have the information available, do we have the option at this time in the calendar to go to bid?
I honestly do not know the expiration date of the 3-year period on the original contract. If our DPW superintendent is in the meeting, he may be able to answer that.
Well, this one's supposed to start November 1, so presumably the other one ends October 31.
So I know that we could do this. In fact, let me see if I can bring, let me see if I can ask, might be able to bring, okay. Let me see, Jason. I'm going to mute myself for a moment, and if we could just hold. Michelle, I have the Superintendent of Public Works, Jason Melito, on the phone right now. Mr. Garcia, can I put him on speaker? Would that suffice, or does he need to come into the meeting as a panelist?
No, he could participate via speaker. That's fine.
Okay, Jason, you are now on speaker. I'm going to ask if everyone can hear him. Jason, would you state your name and role in the borough?
Yeah, my name is Jason Melito. I'm the Superintendent of Public Works.
Okay, can everyone hear that?
Yes.
Very good. So, Jason, resolution 20 let me see, 20 which one is it again?
227.
227.
20-22 Center is to enter into an agreement with Atlantic Coast Fibers, 101 7th Street, Passaic, New Jersey, about recycling. Councilwoman Kaufman has a question for you. But before that, I'm going to ask you this. The renewal, a 5-year renewal at approximately $1,100 a month of outlay. Can you give us a little background on that? And also, can you comment on whether we have the right or we have the calendar allows us to go out to bid? If you could share any information you know from what Mr. Porio was doing or what in this regard you may have done, we would appreciate it.
Okay. Yes, we've been dealing with Atlantic Coast Fibers now for about 8 years. Back in 2017, we signed a 5-year contract with 2 of those years opt-out years, your 4th and 5th year. We had what you called a floor price coming into that deal. A floor price means pretty much it's set at one price, like $2. It can't go over like $2 a ton. What happened is the recycling market over those last 3 years has fallen out really bad. So now it's a commodity. So being a commodity, it's like the stock market. Prices go up and down. We were covered under the contract for 3 years, but there was opt-out clauses in 4 and 5. Either side could have opted out, which of course Atlantic Coast Fibers decided to opt out because they were losing money on our contract. So what we have done was talk to Fred and a couple other places. Fred has been great with us. It's close by. It's right over Passaic. So there's no wear and tear on the trucks of going anywhere to like Jersey City or Linden's or any of that stuff. And pretty much, it is what it is with recycling. You're really stuck on what we have. I mean, it's getting more expensive than garbage per tonnage, or it's getting up there. But the fact of the matter is, you can't get rid of it at the BCUA or landfills. It's against state law. So you're pretty much stuck with what the market's at. And with us going out of contract, or them opting out, I mean, the last 3 years, we were lucky to get what we had. Because this started almost a month and a half, 2 months right after we signed. And we were lucky to get locked in. So that's where we're pretty much at now. The paper end sort of helps us out a little bit because you do get paid for paper, or else it would be more. So that really helps out the bottom line, or else it would be around $2,400 a month. But like I said, this could go up, this could go down. Again, it's a commodity, so it's all based on where the markets are, who needs the material,
So would any member of council, Councilman Kaufman, would you state your question again to Mr. Melito?
So, Jason, just wondering, do you think it would behoove us to put this out to bid if we had time to do that or not?
Well, we really don't have time to do that. We're up against it. October 31st is our cutoff. This is not a material that has to go out to bid, since we don't use a third party to recycle. We can just use anybody we would like. Again, I looked around to the nearest areas and places. Right now, Atlantic Coast Fiber is it. It's a very hard business to keep going. We used to use Green Sky about 9 years ago. They went out of business. So, I mean, with the location and everything else, I would just suggest Atlantic Coast Fibers, and of course the deadline and what we're up to. October 31st, we'll get that way.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Jason, we should be going into closed session in about 15, 20 minutes, just so you know, okay?
Okay.
All right, is there any other member of council has a question of Mr. Melito before I hang up on him?
No,
All right.
thank you.
No, thanks, Jason.
Okay, so again, I need a motion and a second to move resolutions 20-226 through 20-238 with an amendment to 20-230 with an effective date of October 7th.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Council President Kaniga.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Kaufman, rather.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Could I have our finance chair, Councilwoman Kaufman, move 20-239?
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, hold on. Yes.
Mr. Gautier is in.
Oh, Mr. Gautier. Would the record please show that Councilman Gaudier is present. So let me call the roll. Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Good. Councilman Gaudier, we're moving resolution 226 through 22238 with a amendment of 20-230 with an effective date of October 7th. Would you, how do you vote? Yay or nay?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Councilwoman Kaufman, our finance chair, would you please move 20-239 payment of the bills?
At a regular meeting of the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on October 13, 2020, be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge approve the following expenditures. Current fund account, $1,613,095.04. Capital fund account, $149,448.04. Grant fund account, $240. Animal control account, $13.20. Trust other account, $8,369.27. Open space account, $831.01. Payroll account, $8,956.34. Developers escrow account, $2,625. Recreation account, $219.90. So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Council President Kanigo, second. It's a roll call. Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
All right, is there, our next item is new business. So it has
I don't
been
think he's-
approved unanimously. Is new business,
you-
do we have any new business?
I think you may have skipped Councilwoman Kinsella.
I know.
Oh,
I think I think you skipped Joe.
Yes.
Oh, yes, Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Good. Is there any new business? Seeing none, is there any old business? All right, we need to open to the public for public comment on any matter that the public is concerned about. Could I have Councilman Gaudier move, and could I have Councilwoman Bastide second?
So moved.
Second.
Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
We're now open to the public.
So if
And I-
anyone has any questions, just write it in the chat box or raise your hand, or for the person dialed in, *9. Don't appear to be any questions.
Okay, could I have Councilman Gaudier move and Councilwoman Kaufman second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Could Council President Kanigo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
I think I skipped over Joe again. Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
Did I skip over anyone? No, I think we're good this
No.
time. All right, so we are now closed to the public. Mr. Galen, I would like it if we could hold council comments until after the closed session. Would you be comfortable with that, or would it be more appropriate to do council comments before closed session?
I think if you were in public session in the council chambers, I would recommend sticking to the agenda and go with the council comments. In this case, I don't think any of the public or residents are participating, so I don't think it would matter 6 1/2 dozen the other.
Would the council be comfortable moving to council comments to after the closed session? Is there any objection?
No.
Hearing none,
No objection.
very good. Hearing none,
None.
we will, could I have a motion to adjourn the public session for now so that we might go into closed session? Closed session would be docket 12-10/13-1, potential litigation, Newbridge Landing Apartments, 20-10/13-2, personnel, DPW, employee representation. Could I have a motion from Councilwoman Kinsella and Councilman Gaudier to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Council President Kanigo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes.
So we're going to be leaving this Zoom address and returning to it after we have gone into closed session. Closed session is a separate Zoom address so that we may exclude the public. So we have moved and seconded that. And now I call upon all participants in the closed session to move to closed session. Thank you.
Mayor,
Hold on.
can someone just send me, I don't think that I received the closed session invite. So if someone could just,
What's your email?
Jay Garcia at C as in carrot, G as in girl, A as in apple, J as in Joseph, law.com.
Okay, I will send that to you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.